So the I Ching represents the organization of 64 transforming energies that will at this time be affecting you and your business situation. The featured hexagram in this reading represents the constant striving in nature and within us to find balance between the strong, forceful and creative forces at work, that's yang, and the receptive, nurturing forces at work, we can call those yin. So this information will give you insight, guidance and wisdom to make better decisions in your life and business. It really truly is ancient wisdom for modern times. So here we go with your reading, and the hexagram that was cast for you for the month of July is number 54, and the keywords for this hexagram that kind of start to sum up the energy you're going to be working with for the month are subordinate and propriety. And the oracle states right up front that you're going to be in a slightly inferior position in your business dealings for the next 4 weeks. The balance of forces at work at this time are inequitable, basically. So you're completely dependent on the situation for reasons of the circumstance. So these circumstances that you might be facing, you don't really have a lot of control over, while the situation could get along quite well without you. So a forceful leadership kind of stance or position is not in your best interest or favor for this month. If you try to be assertive or make yourself indispensable, you'll meet with misfortune. It's never been easier for you to make mistakes since everything you do is inappropriate. So the oracle is warning you here that this month could be full of mistakes if you don't use this energy effectively in your business and life. You're not in control of a single thing, with the exception of your ability to perceive your difficulties and react accordingly. It would be in your best interests now to behave in a subordinate role with propriety, passivity, and constant caution. The hexagram asks you 3 key questions in how you can maximize and optimize your opportunities during this month. It says, how can you grow into this situation? So it might well be that there are some adverse situations occurring in your business, and you might be pondering on what to do. And the oracle is basically saying to you that there is potential for growth here if you see these situations, which might be adverse to you at the moment, as potential for growth. The second question it poses is, what does it mean to you to come second? That's an interesting one, isn't it? Because we all want to win, we all want to come first in business and life. But sometimes coming second is okay. And let somebody else take the lead, somebody else make the mistakes, let somebody else find out what works and what doesn't. And the third question it asks is, how sustainable is this? So if there might be some aspects of your business or life which you've been pushing quite hard on and they just don't seem to be holding up, they don't seem to be sustainable. And that is so this is a good time to look at that sustainability aspect in your business. You know, we know that with the lockdown ending shortly, businesses that have been sustained by the furlough scheme, government's furlough scheme, quite a lot of those are not going to be sustainable, are they? And so perhaps looking at your situation in terms of that shift that's going to occur fairly soon, looking at and paying attention to what aspects of the business are sustainable, and more importantly probably looking at the ones that aren't sustainable and seeing what you can do about it when this shift occurs. So just on the structure of the hexagram itself for a moment, What we have is, looking at the hexagram from the bottom up, we have a solid yang line on line or position 1, similarly on position 2, and then position 3 it changes to a yin or a broken line, and then we go back to a solid line, and then the top 2 lines are broken lines. Now in this reading, traditionally in this particular hexagram, the 5th line is the ruling line, and it's yin, so it's yielding, if you like. It's in the 5th position of authority, but it's subordinate. So there's the link again. One other thing to say about the lines is that in this particular reading, the 2nd line, that's the 2nd from the bottom, is changing. So it's changing from the strong, manifesting, assertive to the yielding and nurturing, if you like. So it's going from yang to yin. Now in the description blocks below, there's 2 short videos that explain the lines and the structure of the lines and the hexagram as a whole very, very well, and I would encourage you to take a look at those. They're 2 or 3 minutes long, which should give you much better context on the lines and the structure of the hexagram. And concluding on this, just to explain that the bottom 3 lines represent your inner world of thoughts, feelings and emotions, and the top 3 lines represent your outer world of your environment. If we're talking business, your competitors, your employees, other people in your field, etc. And the significance of this reading is the 2nd line from the bottom is the one that is changing. So the energy of that line is significant, and I need to convey to you the advice that it gives. And that's what we'll cover next. So these core statements are important to take on board for this next period, and they are the result of one changing line in the hexagram. And when lines change, the information and guidance provided is of particular urgent importance. So it says, persevere despite circumstances, and the circumstances we're in coming into a post-lockdown period are definitely difficult to navigate and manage, as there is uncertainty both in terms of the population and of course how businesses are going to make the transition back into some semblance of normal trading. Faith and loyalty will turn a disappointed situation into an auspicious one. So there's a principle here that trading and living conditions are difficult, but the people who are going to succeed are the ones who stand by their customers and stand by their friends, and that is going to be where the more positive outcomes will occur. Don't get involved with struggles for power. Remember, the core theme of this hexagram is to be subordinate at the moment, not to necessarily lead and not to be first, but being second can have a strategic advantage. And a little bit of a kind of insight into where the energy might be moving next, and that is represented by what we call the related hexagram, which is always created when there is one or more changing lines, and I'll cover that when we get there. But the statement says, a fertile shock may be coming, reimagine the situation, gather energy for a decisive new move. Now all these points of advice relate to the second line from the bottom of the hexagram. And as I've said in an earlier slide, the bottom 3 lines are your inner world. So it's actually managing yourself and how you're dealing with current circumstances that are external to you, both in your life and business. This is the key, and this is the message from this hexagram. To further illustrate, some of the old texts refer to "with one eye can see," and a hermit's constancy bears fruit. It goes on to say, with one eye you have a single and undivided point of view. You focus to the exclusion of all other distractions. And of course, if you're only looking or squinting, as some people say in some of the texts, the disadvantage, of course, is that your perception is limited. You do not see the whole picture, or not in 3 dimensions. So we could be looking out from a single eye perspective on what's unfolding externally to us. So we're not seeing the whole picture, and the whole picture is still changing quite rapidly. So we need to be aware of that in terms of our decision making in our lives and business. So if you locate your security outside of yourself when your vision is so limited, you can expect to have a limited perspective and possibly have unexpected surprises. So the oracle is saying it's better to be like the hermit, to be self-sufficient, not attempting to change the situation, but staying quietly loyal to your own insight. So the hermit has, if you like, inner independence, and is the same person whether or not anyone is watching. So there's a message there really to also stay loyal and consistent in these quite difficult times, and then you'll be in a better position to seize the opportunities that will come. And remember, one of the questions, look at what is viable and what is sustainable. So because there is one changing line in this hexagram, it creates a related hexagram. And the related hexagram that has been created by this changing line is number 51. And it's all about a disturbing and fertilizing shock. In the I Ching system, there are 8 energies or elements, including the obvious 4 of earth, air, fire, and water. Hexagram number 51 represents the double element of thunder. So if we relate that to what's happening as we come out of lockdown, there are going to be shocks and disturbances. There's going to be wake-ups, there's going to be stirrings, there's going to be arousing shocks. There's going to be bursts of new energy as people and businesses realize they've got more freedoms and they can really get some of their business plans and their ideas and their ambitions and objectives back on track. So this thunder energy, as it's described by the oracle, can be used positively or it can be destructive. And the more aware you are of this energy coming in, probably following on from this particular month, and it synchronizes quite well really with the changes of government policy, etc. Using this thunder, this arousing, this shaking up, and channeling it and using it to propel your business and life forward will be the opportunity that comes out of this, having had this period of subordination, if you like, or looking really just at sustainability rather than growth. So this is an interesting observation that the reading brings up in terms of how the energy is going to be shifting in the next 4 or 5 weeks or beyond. And this insight can be very valuable to you if you're, as you are now, aware of it and can work with it. So now it's time to finish off the reading with a few remaining business specifics of advice and guidance for you. Terms of employment have to be clear, but these are not the basis of loyalty and trust. Plans can only go so far. One should not expect plans to cater for every contingency. Are the relations between people considered in the scheme of things? Inauspicious. Again, inauspicious. Be cautious at this time. In matters of mergers or any kind of takeover, do not invest at this time. Do not press for it at this time. Once again, be cautious at this time. During this period, probably best to wait and assess the situation. Misunderstandings can occur through misconstruction and miscalculation. If real feeling backs it, then there's something to be glad about. So here's what to do next. Watch the 2 videos I've already mentioned. The links for those are in the description box below, and you can download my forward planning tool, and it will be useful for you in making choices and decisions during this period.